about the enjoyment of life, which is, you know, it's what we all want, but I'm still thinking about the word for necrovenom. It's what we all want, and when you get something, you can... Anyway, I need to shut this off right now. When you get something, you can go from there and you know, build upon what you're receiving in life, how to increase your agreement with your situation, your pleasure, but not like, you know, sensual pleasure, your happiness, but I don't like to use that word. Your joy. There's another word. You basically have to look. Nothing's really just going to get better on its own. Everything has to fall into place, and for that to happen, we kind of have to scoot the dust away, the clutter of our mind, and allow those things to have a channel, have a way to fall in. It's literally like Tetris, when the blocks, blah, 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 you have to line something up so it disappears and allows something to fall in. You have to organize it and clutter it, get it out of the way, and something else will fall in. One door closes, another door opens. It's the same thing. And so there's I want to talk about supplements, and I have another video, but I kind of rambled even worse than this. And this was like a few months ago. But it does help through that. And the other, and juicing, and there's even some about the what are known as growth hormone mimics. But basically, I just wanted to make this generally about the enjoyment of life, and that we have to do whatever we want to do, basically. And if you feel unhappy or frightened, then you have to confront that. You have to stand your ground and don't conform to that which makes you uncomfortable. Make that which makes you uncomfortable conform to you, and, you know, don't accept it any other way. And I know there are situations where you can't exactly do that. For instance, you could say whole 20-year, you know, life story of, you know, like Tony Robbins, self-help stuff, and all you can to everything that's said, you can be like, my boss doesn't give a damn. What am I supposed to do? Eventually, you know, you can find other ways. But there are always situations where you have to learn how to cope with it without completely, basically, giving up on the situation, which means compromising. But for instance, in such a situation, if you are really, really in a position where you're not happy, then you should use that as motivation to find out what you can do in another situation, somewhere else. And it always comes back to like work and things like that. But ultimately, it's about being, it's about your physical state and your mind. When the two are out of sync, we get all these problems. We get diseases, we get bone issues, organ issues, brain issues, eye issues, dental issues, heart issues, digestive issues. Every organ system has a breaking point. Okay, there's a multiple layered physical system that has a breaking point. The other aspect of that, you go through your biology or whatever. Okay, we'll look into psychology. And the mind has the same things, from basically developing fetishes, phobias, which is all just like that's one category of psychology, is what goes wrong when the developmental process isn't met on time. That was in the global, that was the 3 phases of the unveiling video I did in the woods a while back. How a lot of these experiments were how to induce phobias and psychotic breaks, nervous breaks episodes, and then rebuild the person to figure out what it means, what the mind really is, what the mind is, what the soul is, what the point of this all is. And just in that same sense, the body is a structure that can have structural failure. The mind is no different, and so we have to apply ourselves to gain ground, to get to higher ground. It's kind of like a flood's coming in. It sucks, right? There's a big tsunami. All right, now what? Well, you can't just wish it away. You have to get to higher ground. That's how it works. And you're lucky if you get in a building and that building doesn't get taken away, because a lot of times it just gets taken away. Then it becomes a grinder. So you have to get to higher ground, and we have to do that by keeping harmony with the cycles in and out, and handling that which is causing discomfort in a way that we creatively find new solutions for the problems that we face. That is our duty. And even if we get a gift from above, if we get an allowance, if something falls into our lap, whatever it is, it's because we helped, because we did something for ourselves. And when that doesn't happen, it's still because we didn't do anything and we're looking for it, or we did the wrong thing. And you always know. And the last thing I want to say, because I want to keep this relatively short, 20 minutes is relatively short for me, for people who watch this. But these, if you listen in the moment to your spirit, to what your spirit is telling you, which does not use words, no words, none, 0 words. Just you use words to describe to yourself what the spirit tells you after you figure it out, which is the spirit's actually you. That's the whole point. That's why we're in this like loopy doopy land, because you gotta calm yourself and put on your different mode and talk to yourself, who's actually yourself, because your image of who you are here. Doesn't make any sense if you think about it like this is how things are. But again, if life simply was and this was life, and that makes even less sense than that. It's like, okay, well, we're in this like different system. Okay, now it makes more sense. That's why all this stuff is like that. Because this isn't really our home. And so, but if you can do that, if you can maintain a connection to your spirit, then you will be guided. And that's the most empowering, informing aspect. And it is it's the beginning of salvation, of wherever you're going to solve your problems. And your mind, the false mind, the desire-based binary mind, that's what gets in the way every time that tries to get in the way every time that happens. And as well, the last thing is that all around you, it's like water. It's like your form of essence emitting water, if you will, which strangely. And around you there's this swirling of other people's waters and the system itself, and it's like a big cyclone of multiple cyclones, and you're your own cyclone. If you can calm yourself to the point that what happens within is separated from the cyclone that is taking place all around you, it's as if the world stops. Because in your universe, time flows according to your internal clock, your internal recognition, your internal perception. If you can make that an art of slowing things down, basically remaining present here externally, but not participating in this continuous fluctuation of distraction, you're inputting information into your environment that is in correspondence with that inner harmony. The more you do that, the more there is a clear pathway to attaining what you're desiring, what you're seeking, because what you're seeking within has to have a way of aligning with what's out here. It's literally like tuning forks. You got the world as a tuning fork, and you got what's within you is your tuning fork is 1,000,000 miles away. But the point is, you can't really bridge the gap without first calming it down. You can make this one vibrate so super loudly that it's just beaming out into the animals, the trees, the sky, your cloud busting, whatever it is. But that takes a lot of energy, and that's the practice too. Do that in certain situations. The point is to learn how to not let that cyclone continuously spool you up on the inside. And when you do that, it's a decision, and you'll find that it's a decision. It's like flying in a dream at that point. The most impossible of miracles happens out of a choice. It's like a martial art or something, where you gain the discipline that enables you to do what, without that discipline and that self-control and that self-awareness and that free will, could take you 20 years. Think about it. Some people don't ever get to that point. That's the whole point. It's a choice, and once you do that, you begin to see that you have the power to change everything in the world. But it's literally by changing your perspective, by calming yourself, and seeing a self-reflexive feedback loop of what you're doing within, and by looking within and going, where am I now, what's going on, and noticing the vibrations, and through that, seeing what's out here, because you're seeing what's vibrating in here. And if you're looking at that and you're seeing a telephone, TV or car, payments for this and that, and you see certain things there, then you know they're coming from out there and they're within. If you look within and you only see clearness, clarity, even emptiness, but in that sense, a purity, a peace, an abundance of peace, that's when you're in the presence of yourself. That's the miracle. It's the strangest thing, but that's what it is. And when you do that and you begin to radiate that out, that's where things change. And as well, there's a system we're in where people are kind of being searched for, who are activating energy in a certain way. So don't try to expand and flip the world on its axis and try and change things too much, because there are beings who watch the wavelengths of everyone's brains and come and mess with people when they do that. So, until and don't do anything just because of me, but just keep that in mind. Maybe until further notice. Just understand how to be calm and how to basically neutralize all the things that attempt. And that's the point. Imagine somebody's yabbering and stuff's going on, maybe not directly with you, but that's good too, to learn when it's like that. But you also want to handle it, not like somebody's got a problem and you're just like you're ignoring that, like that's going to be annoying, and it's probably you could like say something to neutralize it. But there's stuff in the day, in the street, and people, whatever. When you're really being motivated to feel a certain way, that's when you learn how to do it the most. Then at night, when nothing's going on, you can snap into that space. Then in the morning, and it'll begin to happen in a way on its own. Because literally, it's like, I don't know, like fumbling around with stuff, and literally the most natural response after you've learned this is literally to go, and everything just falls into your hands. And you're like, why was I just like doing this, trying to catch and run down the stairs and catch stuff? It's how things are supposed to be. We're in a continuous fight or flight response that drains the adrenals, overexcites the mind, and causes all these hormonal chemical imbalances and stresses the liver and the kidneys, and everything is all thrown off. Too much acid. So once you do that, basically what you're doing is initiating a self-healing process. It starts with the mind. It starts by being calm, remaining calm, and when the Shaolin monks do it, they blood test them and measure white blood cells increase. So it's the self-healing process. You change your immunity, you change everything by doing that. And it's the system where everyone's trying to be thrown into the fight or flight response continuously because they're easier to manage that way. So just something to think about in terms of enjoyment in life and the pains that we go through. And I know it gets tough because we're not robots. You don't wake up every day and want to do the same thing. But that's where,